Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games here. This time, going back to Monsterpocalypse with G-Tanks and a repair truck. 09062 leather white. So, these are all units, the minions of the G.U.A.R.D faction in this case. And G-Tank is a state-of-the-art tank, obviously. A mass driver cannon, all-terrain treads, and is one tough nut to crack in the game. It's got high defense and a long-range cannon. And while its speed is kind of slow, it does have, what is it, improved? No, it's not improved mobility, it's all-terrain. Let's ignore movement penalties for rough terrain. So this allows it to claim objectives and sit on them, while still, thanks to the long-range gun, participate in combined ranged attacks. 3 grunts and an elite here. Elite units beef up grunts with the same name, but cost more to spawn. In the case of these G-Tanks, the elite gives them extra boost dice on attacks, and they also have aim, which gives them another boost dice if they don't move, giving them further incentive to camp an objective and just kind of hang out. And as far as repair truck, in first edition it used to be able to repair mechanical monsters. That's no longer the case, but repair has in a way gotten scarier. Now, repair can be used to turn a hazard to rubble, and to turn rubble into a building that has been previously destroyed in the game. So that, I feel at least, makes the ability much more powerful to a certain extent and much scarier. Since it means your opponent's going to have to deal with buildings coming back again and again. And if your monster uses a stomp power attack to flip a hazard to the rubble side, well, that gets the repair truck one step closer to bringing back your buildings. Now, on these tanks, I'm getting the gap here between the treads, but I'm not getting these flat spots where the model will glue to the base when I'm finished. Just like the monsters, these units are also mounted on clear bases. Makes it easier to see what is under them. It's important since, well, saves you from having to pick up the models to see what they're holding in terms of objective spaces, etc. That's probably the simplest way of putting it. And this little booger here, that's a piece of the mold line I could not figure out how to clean without mutilating these axles. Maybe I need to look at my file kit of files and see if I can find some more tools to add to it. But it won't be visible since it's going to be on the bottom. I'm going to get the whole crane for now, but I will be picking out details on it soon. Okay. And I need the light on because the white base coat on the white primer is kind of subtle and it'll be tricky to see it otherwise. Okay, that's good. Let that dry and get the next base coat or base coats. Alright, next up, because I like the brighter red, 09004 Fire Red. I might get criticized that I'm basically painting these tanks in ambulance colors, but white and red are also the colors of the Knights Templar, so there's that. This is slightly different from how I did Defender X, though, and that's okay, just cause. So doing the front here. And then I'm just going to randomly say this one's going to be the, you know what? Yeah, this one's going to be the Elite. So the Elites have the exact same models as the Grunts or Basics, but their base has a couple of little stars on it to help differentiate. And they're also shown as having a variant color scheme, which is something they did in the original run as well. Now this kit also has articulation, in that the turret can be positioned basically anywhere 360 degrees on its little hub for mounting. So that's something to keep in mind. I can get a decent grip here. Oh, and when I talk about the Knights Templar, I'm not talking about the Templars from Assassin's Creed. I've never actually played that game. I'm talking about the real world historical Knights Templar, so that's what I'm referencing here. I think this deeper red will work a little better with that ruby red highlight too. Just need to use a different color to shade it. But I won't be repainting the red on Defender X just because of this though. It's just grow and go on. Besides, while the tanks are mass-produced, the super mechs are so resource intensive they really can't be. A little more red there. Now these hatches here are detail that was not on the original version of the G-Tank from 10 years ago. So I'm wondering if this is supposed to be a maintenance hatch or if that's supposed to be a crew compartment underneath. All it really shows on the card are the all-terrain suspension and the mass driver cannon. Alright. Well, the G tanks have a nice high defense of 4, and yeah, that's actually great for a unit. The repair truck only has a defense of 2, which is more common for a unit, but is not so great for holding objectives. Meaning it is fairly easy to hit, and in Monsterpocalypse, when a unit is hit, it is destroyed and put back into your reserves. One can be spawned again, but again, it's not the most survivable unit. I'm roughly following the color placement from the official orange and blue here, just roughly. That is almost where I need it. Just a little more on the top here, kind of flanking the working components of the fast repair crane. Alright, that's decent. Let that dry and then get the next bit. Okay, last base coat, 09206 Tarnished Steel. Alright. Oh, the way this camera's acting, I'd say the sooner I get upgraded, the better. This might get a little tricky here, but okay, this is going on this over here, which I believe is supposed to be some kind of supplemental weapon system. Even though it doesn't really say anything. Not that it matters, because everything in Monsterpocalypse is abstracted into just 3 types of attacks. Anyway, Brawl, Blast, and Power, but still nice to know they have options for light, fast guys, big, heavy guys, and all things in between. Oh, since they sculpted it, I may as well go ahead, and I don't know if I'll be shading the interior here, but just see what happens when it happens. I'm just going to go ahead and wipe that off the bottom there where the glue is going to go. It'll help long run. just 3 little vehicles left. One thing to note about Grunt and Elite units is not all units have versions of both. The repair truck, for example, just has a Grunt version, and the G-Tank just has the, or rather, no, the G-Tank has both. Now, I think the rocket chopper, which is in the other unit pack available to G.U.A.R.D, does not have both any longer, but it used to in first edition. That's okay, because it looks like its role has changed anyway. In first edition, the rocket chopper was the original airborne attacker, but in the second series, when the Strike Fighter came out, that proved to be the superior model for that task. So the rocket chopper changing roles to more of a support attack as opposed to a strike attack is makes sense. I'm wondering what the Destructomite's going to do, because that was also the Planet Eater's first standard attacker before being subsumed by the Chomper. Now the Chomper's available in the first series here, and it comes with the Destructomite, so I'm wondering what the changes are going to end up being. And we'll see in a month or so when I can get some more Monsterpocalypse stuff. I think I'm going to try to max out what I want for G.U.A.R.D and Planet Eaters first before moving on to the other stuff. But I will be getting everything for A, love of the game, and B, it's feasible to do so with this game. Alright, now for the repair truck. Let's start this guy. This is going to be tricky about how I do it, so we'll just do it this way. Get the wheels. The axles, get the interiors. Oh, and in terms of strategy, just because the repair truck isn't as good at holding objectives and securing buildings as the G-Tank is, doesn't mean you shouldn't use it to do that. For all, every unit helping to secure a building helps regardless of what it is, and you're going to want one of these out anyway, so that you can have its repairability available when you need it. That said, I'd probably get your tanks out first, and then get your repair trucks going to back them up. Okay, that's base coats. Let that dry and I start shading. Alright, shading. Blackened Steel 09205 is first. Yeah, this is probably the most awkward grip possible, but one of those situations where I have little choice. Go ahead and do the shade the interior, I guess. Kind of amazing the kind of personality you can give a vehicle just by changing the way the turret's facing. The current rule set, it doesn't say you're limited to any specific number of copies of any given unit. It says you're limited to only 4 of any building, but no word on units in the rules. So what I think I'm going to end up getting myself is going to basically be the equivalent of 2 of every unit pack. That should give me a pretty good mix to work with. And the starter for protectors basically came with a G-Tank repair truck unit pack, so that's the only component sold separately. At least right now, I don't actually think that's going to change, because it's got to start somewhere. Well, got enough to shade the tanks, but not quite enough for the repair truck. Just another little dot of that. Be very careful how I grip here. That little booger out of the hook area. Let that dry, and then I can hit the next shade. Okay, one more layer of shading right this minute, and that's going to be Blood Red 09003. Let's try to get back into the view of the camera here. So talking a little more specifically on how some of the elite units buff grunt units is, elites generally will have one extra boost dice on both attacks, brawl and blast, because units don't have power attack stats. And their commander ability will generally, or rather the commander ability I've seen thus far on the G tanks and Belchers, will give the grunt versions of the unit, and it lists them by name, an extra dice on their boost dice. Sorry, need to be specific because it does matter, on their attacks. But the strategy for combined attacks, which units can do, hasn't changed since first edition. You want to try to get as many boost dice as possible to get the greatest chance of scoring a hit. And you want to conserve your action dice to put as many units into each attack as possible. On the first edition, with the right combination of units such as Sky Sentinel and units with flight, get so many boost dice on attacks it was feasible to do 2 or even 3 combined attacks per turn. In most cases, you're going to get 1 or 2. And in this current edition, since you don't have to spend action dice to move anymore, that saves a lot of those dice for making attacks and doing other things that would be considered more useful. Well, moving's useful too, but I'm starting to ramble because it's about time for me to go to bed, but not having to spend your precious action dice to move anymore means you can now get more attacks in. You're no longer limited to 1 action per turn anymore either, which was a thing in first edition. Now each unit can take an action, and each action can be taken once per turn. So while you could only take 1 repair action here, I think my thumb's been in the camera the whole time. Oh, good grief. If there's another action available, you'd be able to take that as well as a repair. For example, okay. But right there, I think. That's good. That's just going to leave the white. And we'll do some lighting effects and start highlighting detail. Okay, next up, 09061 Linen White. It's the last shade to do. Oh, bad grip. Okay, once that's dry, I can highlight, detail, and glue them to their base. Alright, get some lighting effects started. 09039 pure white. Just getting some lighting effects started. I'm looking for headlights and anything else that might be considered a light. I can't remember if these lights were painted on the original models, but I would have to do some digging to find out. And then pure black 09037. Excuse me. Some gun barrels there. And the last lighting effect, sky blue 09018. Or I guess only lighting effect. It's still a bit early in the morning. I just very much want to get this video finished and uploaded. I have no idea what that popping sound was or where it came from. Brush this into this, I think that's supposed to be some kind of laser gun. I mentioned at some point during the lead up to the release of this game that these tanks had multiple weapons. And once that's dry, I can highlight and glue on their bases. Alright, time to highlight and finish this up. True Silver 09207. Come on. There we go. I'm not going to worry about the underside. That little beep is my phone. Don't worry about it. I'm not. And then 09100 Pearl White. Alright. Can't quite find the brush I'm looking for. It must be buried somewhere. It's alright, we'll just swap out. Make sure I'm going to the right white. I've got two of them out here. This is pretty subtle, but it is putting a metallic sheen on the model. Again, I'm fully aware I do need to upgrade my camera, and I'm planning on it as soon as I can afford to, which, like I said, is probably going to be November at some point. Dry out thoroughly, ruby red 09101 to finish. deep. Okay, this definitely looks better on the darker red as the base. So I'll just have to remember that for next time. Come on. Doesn't matter what order, as long as I get them all, actually. Okay, that's it for all the painting. Now I just need to glue the bases. Clean out my brush. And just like Defender X, the bases are in these little sleeves. Now this one has little stars embedded in it for the elite units. So, taking the elite G tank, just a little strip on the bottom. Not a whole lot, mind you. And this is a cyanoacrylate glue. Just going to center that between the stars there, carefully. And hold. Okay. Repeat for the other 4. If this plastic covering will cooperate and let me get the base out at any rate. Just a little dot, 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 dot. Uh-oh, that's slipping a bit. It's going to take a little more work to get glued on there. Okay, that should hold. And that is that. G-Tanks and a repair truck from the G.U.A.R.D faction of Monsterpocalypse. Got more Monsterpocalypse madness on the way. Until next time, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.